Introverts are often overlooked in a world that favors the extroverted. They're not as outgoing, not as outspoken, and are often drowned out by those who are louder.
What do you want to say, Michael?
They're taught it's on them to counteract this by speaking up and putting themselves out there.
Maybe you just need to put yourself out there a little bit.
Please stop.
But introverts are much more complex than their stereotypes would suggest. The fact that they're quiet doesn't mean that they always have to be stuck on the sidelines. And in fact, some of the world's most recognizable stars are introverts themselves.
What's something your followers may not know about you?
I think they know this, but I'm a very shy, introverted person.
So what exactly is an introvert then? Have they been sorely misunderstood by society and Hollywood all this time?
No, there's nobody home! Go away and bother somebody else!
Let's analyze all of that and more as we unpack the truth about introverts. Many people conflate introversion with shyness, but while they often go hand in hand, there are such things as outgoing introverts and shy extroverts. Social proficiency and how you handle stimulation are two separate things.
Are you alright, Clark?
You can love hanging out with people, but just not for too long, or sometimes struggle to form your thoughts into socially graceful exchanges.
And you must be? I am... Well, I'm... Francesca Bridgerton Kilmartin.
You might get totally wiped out by a long chat, but man, do you nail those important phone calls.
Please don't pick up. Please don't pick up. Hi, is this Tony? Hi, this is...
The terms introvert and extrovert originated in the early 20th century with the work of Carl Gustav Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and theorist. His theory led to the growth and popularity of studying personalities. We wonder if Jung had any idea his work would help lead to the millions of personality quizzes online today.
Which fork are you choosing?
We have a feeling probably not. Jung noted that introverts and extroverts have a tendency to misunderstand each other. This is carried into the modern age, where the connotations of the two terms have taken on lives of their own. Unfortunately, introverts can have some pretty negative connotations, like being antisocial, aloof, self-centered, or meek.
Why are you so cruel? I just don't like meek people.
But let's take a step back and unpack what introversion actually means. Being an introvert essentially just means having a personality type and social battery mainly energized by solitary activities and introspection rather than through socializing.
He's not social. He's nice.
Are you trying to make him social?
No, he'll never be social.
Not gonna happen.
Introverts are typically more comfortable with or interested in their own thoughts, deep and meaningful conversations, and smaller but closer groups of friends.
I'm an introvert. I'm gonna have a party and I'm gonna invite 3 people.
They tend to be more sensitive to stimulation than extroverts, so while they may still like to party, they might need to recharge for a lot longer afterward, or even during the event itself.
No, take that away from me! Okay!
Of course, no one is entirely introverted or entirely extroverted, and there are even those that share equal qualities of both, called ambiverts. Psychiatrist Jung believed that every individual possesses both the mechanism for introversion and that of extroversion. Identifying an introvert is pretty straightforward once you know what to look for. They tend to prefer working alone and make the most headway when they have time to think independently, without the world drowning out their thoughts.
You do not much like attracting notice, do you?
Not really. No.
Research varies on how many of us tend to be more introverted, ranging anywhere from 25 to 50% of the population. Regardless of the exact number, the world is full of introverts, making their way in an extroverted society and figuring out how to make things work for them without getting totally drained.
Good evening, sir. Forgive me, I was simply...
I needed some quiet. I've been in search of it all night.
Despite taking up such a large portion of our population, introverts have often been misunderstood and mischaracterized, both in real life and on screen. Because of their quiet, in-their-own-head natures, they're often portrayed as weirdos, outcasts, and loners. Instead of spending their weekends out partying like their more extroverted peers, the introverts can more often be found at home reading, studying, or listening to music. And if they do make it out to a party, they'll likely be heading out early and getting called lame for it. They also often stick out at school. Since they don't speak up in class, they're seen as not being engaged and sometimes even lazy.
Why didn't you raise your hand? They call you the teacher's pet.
The world, particularly Western and American society, favors the extroverts. Society celebrates those who are outgoing, take risks, and are confident, brave, sociable, and speak up. Being loud means being seen as fearless and happy. Extroverts are also considered to be more friendly, approachable, and have higher self-esteem. They're often better about talking things through.
We have to talk about our feelings because we're together.
We needed to talk about feelings. They would be called talking.
From the moment we start school, we're forced into extroverted scenarios. Being called on in class, participating in group discussions, and group projects are all focused on interaction and speaking with or in front of others. It's carried into many of the places we work as well. A lot of companies these days prioritize open floor plans to encourage social interaction and don't always give their employees alone time to foster deep thinking and focus. From a young age, we're encouraged to grow out of our introverted tendencies and adopt more extroverted ones. Being too quiet is discouraged, and being open is encouraged.
Hey, are you okay? I just noticed you in the corner talking so much, so... Yeah, so is there a reason your mouth moves so much? I used to be just like you, you'll grow out of it.
Given all this, it'd be easy to assume that acting is a profession where you would have to be extroverted to be successful. All those press tours, interviews, and dealing with people all day.
What? Do you have like a special memory from when you were shooting the movie?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we were just trying to debate on which one of us was going to take the question.
But it's interesting to realize just how many of our favorite stars are actually introverts and have managed to carve out some very successful careers anyways. Some may be more obvious, but others might surprise you.
You know, it takes me a while before I need human contact. I like being alone.
Getting rid of unwanted subscriptions can be such a hassle. Whether they hide the unsubscribe link or, our introvert nightmare, try to force you to actually contact them to cancel. But thankfully, getting rid of those unwanted subscriptions is so much easier with this video's sponsor, Rocket Money. Have you ever subscribed to something cool, but then once it stopped being useful, just kind of forgot about it? Only to realize way later that you were still being charged? It's the worst. Now, with Rocket Money, we don't have to worry about that anymore because it combs through all of our subscriptions for us and helps us cancel all of the ones we don't need anymore so that we can keep that money in our wallets. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. With Rocket Money, we can see all of our subscriptions in one place, so we can really keep track of our subscriptions and expenses. Plus, you can submit a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money can even try to negotiate a lower bill for you, up to 20%. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/thetake. That's rocketmoney.com/thetake. rocketmoney.com/thetake.
Seeing them dazzle on red carpets and chat through interviews, it may be hard to believe, but so many of our most beloved actors are in fact introverts. Well, maybe it's not that surprising, actually. They are actors, after all. There's Zendaya Coleman, who has dominated both Hollywood and the fashion world to become a beloved icon in her own right, who has been quite open about her introversion, shyness, and social anxiety.
Uncomfortable when I'm getting ready, very quiet, so if I'm over talkative, that's because I'm anxious.
She's managed to carve out a career that's more focused on her work than just on her or her personal life, which allows her to follow her creative passions without becoming totally drained by the Hollywood machine. Other big names have been open about having to work their careers around their introverted natures, from Kristen Stewart to Chris Evans.
I consider myself an introvert. I am.
Emma Watson, Keanu Reeves.
You're not mysterious.
I'm not.
How would you describe
aren't we all? No, let's not do that. So what did you like about the film? How did you like it?
And even Lady Gaga. In a Wonderland magazine article back in 2014, Emma Watson admitted, "The truth is that I'm genuinely a shy, socially awkward, introverted person. At a big party, I'm like Bambi in the headlights. It's too much stimulation for me, which is why I end up going to the bathroom. I need timeouts." Even if an actor hasn't specifically identified themselves as introverted, those that do fall into the category are often pretty easy to spot, because while they go all in for their roles, they're much more reluctant to open up in interviews. They're visibly uncomfortable on press tours, say they don't like being famous, have very private lives, or just admit that they're shy.
Yeah, I'm a shy man. Yeah, I'm a shy guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing actually wrong with wanting to keep their private lives private, and honestly, given how intense fandoms can get, it's probably pretty smart, but as the industry has attempted to force stars to be more real and connected, this can pose a problem. So it's great that stars like Zendaya have started pushing back against this requirement that they share everything and make themselves always available. And of course, some of our favorite fictional on-screen characters are also clearly introverts, like Pam Beesly, Sydney Adamu, Katniss Everdeen, Charlie Kilmekis, Penelope Featherington.
Mama, we're in a library. For once, you must allow me to look at a book.
Francesca Bridgerton, Hermione Granger, Lexi Howard, and Rosa Diaz.
Dillman never talks first when he's in the box.
Well, Rosa never initiates conversation of any kind.
We've talked a lot about how Pam's introversion affected her in some not-so-great ways.
Well, it's just that the weekends aren't good because, there are always a million reasons not to do something.
But it isn't always a negative thing for characters. On Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Rosa holds her cards close to the chest, but she also isn't afraid to stand up for herself when she needs to. Just because she isn't constantly voicing her opinion doesn't mean she doesn't have one. In characters like Penelope and Lexi, we can see how their penchants for quietly observing the lives of those around them can lead them to being very insightful, but also sometimes not so kind in the way they choose to finally share those observations. While being introverted versus being extroverted is often portrayed as a battle, in reality, both personality types bring positives to the table. Of course, extroverts have those bright, shiny traits like their outgoingness and exuberance, but in a 2013 study and CNBC article, it was found that introverts tend to be more observant, creative, thoughtful, self-aware, and less swayed by external events, relying more on their moral compass. And of course, both types are most powerful when they bring their own individual skills together. Take Sydney and Richie on The Bear. Sydney is more quiet and introverted, always trying to focus on her work and her own thoughts, while Richie is loud and a little all over the place. Their opposite personalities at first cause them to butt heads, a lot, but when things really come down to the wire at the end of season 2, they save the night by working together, with Sydney using her great ability to focus to run the line as interim head chef, while Richie does an amazing job calling orders and greeting guests. Neither would have been able to get through the night alone. It was their ability to work together that allowed things to go off without a hitch, even with Carmi trapped in the freezer. Both introverts and extroverts have valuable qualities, and we all benefit the most when the characteristics of all personality types are applauded. Introverts bring their thoughtfulness and appreciation for silence, and extroverts bring their desire for action, ability to form relationships quickly, and vocal confidence.
Hell yeah!
Together, introverts and extroverts are unstoppable, whether or not each side is aware of it.
Going to Mordor alone. Of course you are. And I'm coming with you!
In a society that favors the extroverted, though, maybe it's time we begin to think more about how to adjust things to make them more equal, rather than expecting introverts to conform. We could respect boundaries, first and foremost, but also understand that silence is okay.
Simple silence. It's radically more effective.
Perhaps they are enjoying themselves.
Silence and solitude allow you to better understand yourself and the world around you, and being more thoughtful can allow for deeper relationships, stronger focus, and better ideas. Everyone can evolve and even aim to step out of their comfort zones on occasion. Shy introverts can always work on speaking up for themselves more often, and talkative extroverts can learn to be more comfortable with silence and their own thoughts.
I'm not afraid to be alone with my thoughts. My thoughts are awesome.
We fill in the gaps in each other's personalities, and while we're strong apart, we're even stronger, happier, and more functional together. Just, maybe give the introverts a little peace and quiet every once in a while.
Wow, this has just been such a pleasure. I'm such a lucky boy. I can't wait to go home.
So what's your take on introverts? Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? Who are your favorite introverted characters and actors? Let us know in the comments. That's The Take. Click here to watch a video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And make sure to subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive new videos.